this is gonna be a pretty short one, folks. Released in 2022 by Roll7, Rollerdrome is an action-packed shooter that has you doing tricks, shooting enemies, and all while looking cool. I had wanted to play this one for a while, and I thought it was a good time now than ever. And with that, let's get right into the video. You take the role as Karen Hassan, and you come into the Rollerdrome tournament with the goal to become the champion. And that's pretty much the story. I should stress that there is some dialogue here and there's some notes to read and such, but this game is not story focused at all. You're first being dropped into the tutorial stages, learning how to use the gun, how to move around and doing tricks. And oh my god, dude, this gameplay is so fucking good. Not only is the movement of the characters is absolutely perfect, but doing tricks just feels so good. Karen has just the right weight to her where she doesn't feel too heavy when jumping or turning around, but not light enough to make her movement lose any impact. On top of that, you have guns you can use to kill your opponents. At first you start with the dual pistols, and later on you unlock a shotgun, a grenade launcher, and this last gun that I forgot the name of. All weapons feel so good to use and are great for several types of enemies. For instance, the dual pistols are really good against the smaller enemy types with less health and these rocket troopers, as they usually get the shield on as soon as your magazine is empty. But the guns have 12 bullets, which is enough to kill them without activating the shield again. But the downside with the guns is that they can't damage shields or these mechs, but the shotgun can. The shotgun does a lot more damage per shot and can damage armor. On top of that, with the shotgun you can do slug shots, which do more damage than usual shots. But against rocket guys, it's better to use the dual pistols, as a shotgun you won't kill them in one hit and then have to wait for the shield to go back down again. Both of these weapons can lock on to enemies that are close enough, unlike the grenade launcher. But the grenade launcher is much more powerful with its shots. You can't lock on into enemies, so you have to try and aim at the general area the enemies are at. Plus again, it's a strong weapon, being able to take out mechs with only 4 shots, which the shotgun would have to take with 12. And for the final weapon we have the crossbow. In terms of power, it's the most powerful weapon, but it's also the hardest to use. Not having to lock on features like the guns and shotgun, or having the radius of a grenade, it is the hardest to aim with. But it can shoot several troops, especially when charging up twice, even shooting multiple of them at once if they're lined up properly. All these weapons are great and fun to use in their own way. Part of the challenge is to learn which weapons are better against certain enemies than others. These weapons, however, need ammo to shoot, and to get that you'll have to do tricks, jumping on rails, dodging attacks perfectly, and so on. When doing these, you will refill ammo for your weapon. And I could not go on without mentioning the great art style. Using the classic cel shading approach, making everything look more cartoony, and it works so well for this game. With all the explosions and effects on screen, it's visually so pleasing. This game's art style most reminds me of Hi-Fi Rush, who, just like Tango Gameworks who made that game, Roll7 also got shut down. Alongside the great art style, the game is accompanied by a really cool soundtrack. Very 80s like, and it's very bopping. The end credits theme is definitely my personal favorite though. Your main goal in the game is to finish the stages and beat the final one, but to do so you have to kill all the enemies in each stage, as well as doing several side missions. Each stage gets harder and harder as you progress, with more enemies spawning, and the missions become harder, which is where the real challenge of the campaign begins. Finishing the stage itself is challenging enough, but finishing some of these missions are just hell. Oh no! Several of them are easy, like collecting 5 of these tokens in a stage, doing a certain trick, not using a certain weapon, and so on. However, there are some missions that made me go, oh my god, how is this even possible? All these beat the stage in X amount of time are really difficult, and I try my best, but I was always off by 30 seconds or more. But thank god, you do not need to do all the missions to progress. To get to the final mission, you need at least to do like half the missions, which is not that bad. What is bad though is the final boss. So the final boss is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 being the normal stage and part 2 being this spider boss. There was one early in the game, but this one was way harder. You will have to kill enemies alongside defeating the spider by driving up on its legs and shooting on its red spots. But it will enter shield mode after shooting it at 2 times, and you have to defeat the enemies for its shield to deactivate. But this one is really tough, as the spider shoots these annoying blue lasers on top of shooting rockets that take so much of your health away, and with enemies also trying to kill you. It becomes a complete clusterfuck. It was a pretty cool spectacle though, it just took me several tries to beat it. The enemies in this game are pretty fair in my opinion, and none of them really annoy me except for these blue annoying fuckers. God damn it, the lasers are so hard to dodge and they do so much damage. On top of when you damage them, they will start to teleport somewhere else. I do not like these enemies, and I wish they were not in this game. When you finally do beat the final mission, you enter a room with a big golden trophy and you have become the next champion of the Rollerdrome. But It's not done yet. As you skip the credits, with 1 year having passed and Karen as a champion, she is now presented with even more difficult challenges. These are the blood challenges, and holy, these are way harder than the main campaign. Like, they have the same map layouts like the campaign, but now all types of enemies will spawn on each map and do 25% more damage than before. And yeah, you really do feel that extra damage. It took me like 8 tries just to manage to beat the first one, and I did manage to beat a couple more of them. I am planning to try and beat all of them, but that's gonna take a while because this shit is hard. And that was pretty much Rollerdrome, a fantastic action-packed short game that nails everything it's trying to do. The gameplay alone has made it become one of my personal favorites. Thank you all for watching this. This was a much shorter video than my usual stuff, but it's not really a long game, so I mean, it makes sense. It's on PC, PS5 and Xbox, so you have a little excuse to not play this awesome game. With that being said, I will catch you all later.